Hello everyone, this is Tina from Tina's Workshop, and this is video 3. So this video is going to take you through the steps of how I naturally dye my fleeces. And this is a Hampshire fleece that we've been working on, and it happens to be what I generally use when I'm sampling different kinds. So it's right in my wheelhouse of what I've been doing through my fiber journey, which has only been for a few years now. But there are different methods out there. There's different things that people use. I like to experiment with what I have in my yard. And okay, I found it. It was right in front of my face. I have a journal that I keep track of all of my dyeing, what I am trying out, what colors I get. I was even trying with paper towel, and you get a totally different color. Different fibers are going to give you different colors. This is one that I think is really fun, is ice plant. So if you have ice plant in your area, you get a great color from that. But I will just randomly try different things, and I will do a little sample and then find out whether I get a desirable color from that plant. Here's one, for example. You can see I did Hampshire with alum, Shetland, silk, cotton, paper towel, and then I always spin a little bit of it too to see. But so you can see how you get different colors from the different fibers. But I always put a little bit, I'll spin it, a little bit of it. This one here, I had some alpaca I had done, and then I had done the Hampshire and spun it. And I'll put a little bit of information here about my process and what I did. Did I do a sun dye? Did I boil it? How long did I leave it setting? Oh, and I will tell you in the video about chrysanthemums. The flowers, I didn't get, it should be in here. I didn't get color from the flowers, but the leaves, that's the color you get from the leaves on the chrysanthemum. Very pretty yellow. Oh, here's one that I tried a number of different ways to do it. So this is pokeberry, and I did the stems that I boiled, and the wool has alum. This one I did the berries, mashed, cold soaked wool with alum. The berries hot, not boiled wool with alum. Because I heard that if this is one of those that if you boil, the color would mess up. So then this one was the berries with vinegar, cold soaked about 2 hours, and no alum. This one is the berries with vinegar, cold soaked overnight with no alum. And then this one is the berries with vinegar, hot, not boiled, with no alum. So each one of those I did a different process with and got different results. Like this here, this one I did a sun dye. This one was after a few days, and this one was after a couple months. So there's many different ways that you can do this, and this is my little book, and I experiment with it, and if something works, I can always go back and do it the same way. I also recently heard from Yenta from Ming Wilding. She likes to do a lot of the natural dye too, and she was talking about this book, and I immediately went and bought this book. I have other books on natural dyeing, but this book is a really good book, and it gives you lots of information about your mortaning and stuff, but then on your different plants that you can try, and it has these great little color swatches. And there's a little code here that will give you the information as to how they got each one of these. So you can go through here. Here's turmeric. This is one I'm wanting to do and I haven't done yet. Different mordants will darken and sometimes alter your colors. Queen Anne's lace. We have a lot of that around on our freeways. That's one I want to give a shot on that one, but I haven't done that one yet. Oak is one that has a lot of properties, and different plants will have alum, or not specifically alum, will have a mordant, the tannins in the plant, so you don't have to use a mordant. Walnut's one that has its own. And oak is one that not only has its own, but has parts of it that can be used as a mordant when you're doing other plants. Where is the page on oak? So you can use the acorns, you can use the leaves, you can use the bark, probably use the roots. I don't know if that's in here, but you probably could. There's a lot of plants you can use the roots on. But you can also use the oak galls, which is a defense mechanism for the oak tree. The hornet will lay its eggs in the oak tree, and the oak creates this gall around it, which will then leave something for when the hornet comes out. It can eat the gall and then it'll come out, but by doing that it doesn't damage the tree itself, but that gall can be ground up and used as a mordant. And there's all that information in here, and I don't know why for some reason I cannot find the page. I should have had it marked on oak. Where is the oak page? So most of these have like one page, and there it is. Oak has a couple pages. So there's one page on oak, and here's the second page on oak, and there's your goals right there. So it talks about how you can utilize all these different things. So this is a really great book by Jenny Dean, Wild Color. You can get it on Amazon. Like I said, I have many other books that are on the dyeing and natural dyeing, but so far this one has been my favorite. So this video is going to take you through some of my process. I have a number of different things we're going to try that I had ready to play with, for lack of better words. So you're going to get to see some of that, and then see one that came out absolutely amazing. And I end up dyeing about 3 pounds of fleece with that, and that fleece is what is going to continue on in the next few videos. So I hope you enjoy this. We are here again another day. I have a bunch of fleece that has already been mordanted in alum. You use 8% of the weight of your dry fiber to alum, and 7% the weight of your dry fiber in cream of tartar. And this has actually been soaking longer than it needed to be. It's been in here for like 2 days. Really, it needs at least a couple hours to overnight, but I haven't had a chance to get to it. So, and we want our fiber wet before we start dyeing with it. So I left it in here so it would be wet and ready for us. And I already had gotten some dye going in a couple different pots. This one has these mushrooms, and I don't know what kind they actually are. I've tried a few different ones. So it looks like there's a little bit of color in here. So I don't know how much we'll get. And then I also did this one. I do all my dyeing outside. And this was some more mushrooms. and there's a lot more color in this, so that one's going to be exciting. And then I've also done, I have some stuff sitting in the sun getting ready. This is another dye batch I'm going to do later. It's Osage Orange, and it needs to soak for about a week before you use it. And then these ones I'm just going to put little bits in to sample and see what we've got, how they're going to do. Most of them are other kinds of little fungus, and I will show you guys a picture of what all these ones, different ones, look like from when they were still fresh. I had them frozen for a while. There's one in here. Hoping you can see this okay. Some more in there. And then this one's like the lichen that's off of the trees. This is the avocado pits, which I know work. I stuck them in here. I don't think they're going to do anything with the sun. They are going to, I think, end up having to be boiled later. This is some little blue flower that had come out of an arrangement I had. I don't even know what kind of flower it was, but I had saved it. There is some pretty purple color in there. I don't know if you can see it. Don't know whether it'll do anything. This one is poinsettia, and it has really taken the color out of those leaves. So I'm excited to see if the color will actually dye or not. This is some more fungi. This is some marigold that I had been collecting last summer, and then I dried it, and I know marigold will dye, so we'll see what happens with that. And lastly, I have one more that has some fungus in it. Let's see the best way you can see this one. It's like an old fish bowl. But so these ones I'm going to be most of those are just going to have little sample bits just to see what those different dye products will actually do, if they will do anything at all. This will be a dye project I will do later. This one I can use fleece that has not been mordanted because it's from a tree. It is actually wood chips, and they have tannin in it, so I should be able to dye that without needing a mordanted fleece. So for today, I'm going to concentrate on using this fleece in these two pots, and then I will take little bits of fleece to stick into the containers I just showed you, except for the Osage Orange. So first thing I think I'm going to do, though, because I did have these, I cooked this the other day, got the dye out of it, and I think I'm going to drain off the mushroom. Sometimes I'll put a fleece in with the what's the word I'm looking for, the object, the plant material, but in this case I just don't really want to have it in and have little bits of mushroom all over it or anything. So I think I'm going to strain it off, and then I'll put the fleece in, and this is cold, so I'll put the fleece in because it's also cold, and then I'll bring it up to a simmer. So I have a couple different strainers that I tend to use. I have this larger one, I have this smaller one, which was my first one, and then I ended up with that one. See if we can get that one to sit okay there. I think I might go ahead and use that one. So basically, I'm just going to take the pot and pour it into here. And then I'm going to go rinse the pot so that I don't have any of the little stuff in there. And then I will pour the liquid back into here. Now there is still some little particles in there. See, unless this one does have a finer mesh. Maybe we'll try this again and just see if we can get out a little bit more, just because. Okay, there's more in there that I will go rinse out. It did gather more in here, so I'm glad I ran it through the other strainer. That's a lot better. Okay, so there's our dye pot. Don't know how much we'll get out of that, but we're gonna try. And as long as I'm already here, I might as well strain the other one. Let's see, a lot of stuff in that one. Okay. Not pour it all in because there's a lot of little things down there. That one has a much deeper color, but they both still seem like they're going to be brown of some sort. So I am going to bring over my little bucket here. Now, there are different measurements you could do to the weight of your fleece and to how much plant matter and all that. And when I start experimenting, I don't pay attention to any of that. I just throw in what I decide I want to try and what I don't. I don't feel like this first one is going to give us a whole lot of color, and I don't have a lot of water, so this is how much fleece I'm going to drop into that one. Let's see if it picks anything up right away. I just have a feeling this is not going to give as much. I know that the mushrooms and the fungus a lot of times do give nice color, which is why I decided to experiment. But we'll see. I'm going to stick that in there. Turn. It doesn't like my wet fingers. There we go. Turn that on. And we'll come back to that in a little bit and see what happens. This one needs to be put on the heat, but I do have a gas burner out here I could use too, but I'll probably just use the one. So I will stick the fleece in here now, but I won't actually be turning it on yet. Let's see. This one I feel like we might get a little bit more color out of, so I am going to put a little bit more fleece into it, and it's a fuller pot, so we'll see what happens there. You can already see that it just seems like there's going to be some more there. So there is that one. Dog is barking again. Sorry about that. He can't help himself. So this is all Hampshire wool I'm using, and it's one I like to use when I'm dyeing, and it's become, well, I had a large fleece of it, and that's why I started using it, but I do like the way that it gives me nice samples. So this one, again, it's not a whole lot in there, so I'm just going to put a little bit of fleece in it. A little more than I will in some of the others, just because we have the room for it. And these, because they're sitting in the sun, they've not been boiled, I'm going to leave the plants in them. And again, they're just going to be smaller samples. This one is the marigold, which I should get some decent color from. Let's see, we'll put... And I still have plant matter that needs to be carted out of this, so getting some of that in is not a big deal, but we're going to stick this one down in there. And we'll see what we do with that. I'm going to stick a little bit more in that one. And before I finish with these, I may bring them up, but I don't think so, because I mean, just sitting out here today, they're quite warm. So this is another one that had the mushrooms in it. Okay, I think I'm just going to put a little tuft in this one and see how it does. So this one's the poinsettia, which I'm really excited to see what it does. And I mean, it's really pulled the color out of these leaves. So I'm really kind of excited to see if this dies well at all. I might just stick all of that in there. Maybe I'll put a tiny bit more. I'm really hopeful with this one, but we'll see. Okay. Okay. Oh, this one is the little tiny blue flower that I'm not sure what it is. You kind of see it there. It's very tiny, dainty flower. And it does have a bit of a purpley color in this water. Doesn't smell good fermenting in the sun. Let's see. Let's stick that in there. Okay, this one. Oh, this one I think I'm going to have to boil. I don't even know if I want to stick I don't think I'm going to stick anything in that one yet. That's the avocado pits. Okay, this is the lichen, which should give us, oh yeah, there's some pretty color in there if it ends up working. So we'll stick a little bundle in there. This is some more fungi. I think I actually might have had a couple in here because they were small ones that I didn't have a lot of. Stick a little bit into this. And this is another one, and it actually there's only the one cap of it in there. Some decent color in there though for being only one cap. So I'll stick that in there. And the last one we're going to put some more fungi. These were kind of a lavender in color. I wasn't sure what I would get from them, but it is more of like a rust color. We'll stick a little bundle into that one. So that gives us a little bit of fleece and all these except for the avocado pit and of course the Osage Orange, because that is going to be a future dye. So now I need to take the rest of the fleece out of here and go ahead and dry it, and then I will bag it up and make note that it is already mordanted. It will be ready to use, and then we will wait and see how the different dye baths come out. Okay, that's out in the sun. It's a nice warm day today. It should dry pretty well. I've got some more fleece I need to scour, so I'll go do that while the dye pot is cooking away. So this one I took off the heat a little while ago, and I'm just going to let it set and stew and cool down. This one is on the heat now. I don't have a lot of prospects for the color, but I'm going to be turning it off here in a few minutes, and then I will let it set and cool down, and we'll see what kind of color we get later. Okay, so that's the one that came out of the fishbowl type jar I had. And I put a little more water in it, otherwise it's just the way it is, and I'm going to end up bringing that to a simmer and shutting it off. But first, okay, so this was the other mushroom bath, and you can see it hardly changed any color from the white. This is the marigold. I mean, come on, you guys, that is so amazing. The best has been these two so far, and this one's still not that great, but this is beautiful. Of course, I have more VM because of all the little marigold petals. I did drain my pot. I strained it, and that's my exhaust pot. So I think I'm going to throw some more in there. And I'm honestly thinking about taking a sample of this one out for my notebook, because I keep a notebook with all my experiments in it. So I think I'm going to take a little sample of this one out for that, and then over dye it in that pot, in the exhaust pot, and see what happens, what kind of color we get. So I'm going to throw that in there and do that one. And then I think I will take one of these other ones and throw it in and do it. I don't know which one I'm going to do yet. So I will show you when I get there. So I decided for the second one I'm going to do this one that I had in the glass jar, and it smells absolutely horrid, so I'm kind of glad I'm doing it, because if I left it sitting in the sun, I don't know, I would have wanted to open it. So we'll see what happens. Okay, it is another day, and we're gonna wait for those loud trucks to go by. We are going to rinse out the last ones I did last night. Now that I'm not using that to dye, that's normally my rinsing bowl, so I've got clear water there. And this is our exhaust pan of the marigold that I over dyed from the other fleece. So we'll see what we get from it. Actually, still a little bit of color in there. So there's the color we got from that one. It's a little bit paler, plus we had the little bit of a grayish color to the fleece that we over dyed. So we will set that next to the other one here in a minute. And let's check on our other pot. So this is the one that we did that had these mushrooms in it. I have a little bit of fleece in this one. I didn't add any extra because I didn't think we were going to get much color. So and I was right. We hardly got any color out of that. So here is the marigold next to the other one, and that is really pretty because you could totally do something with both of these. So this was the over dyed, and it was probably twice as dark as that, which this is the new one that we just got from the other mushroom. And if we put it next to the original white, you can see there is a little color there, but not enough, I don't think, to say, oh, I would want to do that one again. But I am still very happy with this marigold, both dye pots. Look, even if you did something with all three of these, that would be so pretty. Okay, so I think today we are going to try and do something with the poinsettia and see if heating this, because there's a lot of color in there, and I think the color is pretty much out of the flowers. So I'm going to, nope, I got lots of fleece in that one. Maybe I won't pull the flowers out right now. Okay, we're going to stick that one in here. And then this one is those little blue flowers that I don't know what they are. And we're going to put that one over here. And I'm really excited about this one, to be honest. See, I think I can go ahead and take these sticks out. I don't know that we'll, maybe I'll leave them. Leave them, take them out. Leave them, take them out. We're gonna leave them. But look at this like neon-y color. It's like a neon. It's really cool. Lots of little flowers I have to deal with later, but it's kind of exciting. So I think we're gonna simmer that, and there's not, I mean, this is like literally gonna take like 5 or 10 minutes to bring this, probably 5 minutes, because there's hardly any water in there, and I don't want to add more fleece to that because there's just not enough of the base product. I just want to see if I get some more color. And then I'll do the same thing with the poinsettia and just bring the heat up on it for about 5 or 10 minutes. See if it'll pull any more color out of this, to see if it would be a viable dye plant for future. So that's going to be the next ones. I'll put them on for 5 or 10 minutes and then let them sit and cool down, and we'll see what the results are. Okay, so I did not let these sit overnight like I did with the others, since they have been sitting in the sun for a number of days. I just wanted to give them an extra little boost, see if we could get anything else out of it. So this is the poinsettia. Trying to see if I can pull some of these leaves off so I don't have as much to deal with later. Did not get as much color as I had hoped from this. I mean, look at the water. The water is just, there's lots of color in there, but it's one that does not absorb. So that is not a viable source. So now we know. Okay, let's try our next one. These simmered extremely fast where there was not much water in them, and then I let them sit for a couple hours and cool down. This one I'm so excited about, except for all the little bits that I have to deal with. Look at that color. That is just really kind of cool, this like neon-y yellow color. Look at that. That's a fun one. Okay, so I am going to, I still have the other ones that we have sitting in the sun, but I want to do one other one I forgot about that I did have set aside. It just wasn't in the stuff that I had in the freezer. So this is another tree lichen. This is this stuff here. And I've been wanting to try it and see what you get. So I actually had gathered it and had it sitting in my car for a long time and kept forgetting to bring it in the house. So I'm going to put that down in here and put this on to simmer and see if we get any color out of that. And since we are doing that lichen, why don't we take this one out and simmer the other lichen and see if we get anything else from that. There is a little color in there, but we'll see if we can get anything else out of that one. So I'll simmer that and then let it cool down and see what we get from it. And something I have not mentioned yet is the pots I use. I use stainless steel pots. That way, one, I have an induction style cooktop I use, so it works with it. And I don't want to alter my colors. If you use an iron or cast iron or you use a ceramic pot that has iron underneath and you've got chips in it, that is going to alter your colors. Same as using an iron mordant. So I myself use cast iron, even though for the most part most of my things are plants and stuff that aren't harmful. Not saying some of those mushrooms could have been, but I mean most of the things I use are not harmful. But I do not ever use pots that I would use in the kitchen. And even though these, I am not using chemicals that are going to be toxic, I do all of my dyeing outside, which is why you hear all the traffic, because I just prefer to do it outside. The smells are stay outside. It's just, for me, it's an outside thing that I like to do. Some people will have a dedicated workshop space they may use, which I would like to have at some point, but for me right now, outside is where I work. Okay, it's been another few hours. This is the big pot I did, and after I brought it up to temperature, I threw in just a little piece of fleece. This is how I normally test out a new pot, a new plant matter, is I'll cook some up and then I will start off by just putting a little bit of fleece in so that I can see if I'll get anything worthwhile from it. And this has given me a little bit of color. It's nice if you're wanting that color. It's not a very strong color. So I think I'm going to probably just leave it at my sample. I don't think I'm going to try and do a larger batch of that one. But that was the lichen that came off of the trees. So it's got a very mucky look to the water, but that is what we got out of that. I will rinse this and that took very little out, but so we can see that has actually given us very similar actually to our dye pot from the exhaust from the marigold. That one's actually kind of surprising. I didn't realize that in my hand. So that's interesting. Okay, here is our other dye pot that we were doing with the other kind of lichen. And see if I can pick some of this off. Don't need it all. Actually, I don't need any of it really. Just need the fleece. Okay, and rinse it. Let's see what we get. Okay. This one has actually given us a slight pink tinge to it. Let's see if I can get some. Oh, here, let's move over here. See if I can get some sunlight on it for you. It's like a little bit of a pink tinge. Let's see how it looks next to our white. Yeah, there's a bit of a pink, which is kind of neat. So let's set that over here by our other colors. It's got just a little bit of a pink. Almost, when I've done ice plant before, I get a pink kind of like this, but it's stronger. But that's kind of a cool one. That's neat. So these are our last two we just did. So we have 4 more to do. I guess we'll just... These two look very similar. Maybe we'll take those two and then do these. This one I know I'm definitely gonna have to cook. So that one still has no fleece in it. And I'll cut them, I think, before I cook them. So we'll do these two and do the same thing, simmer them and then let them cool. So I'm just gonna put them in the pot like I did with the others, bring the water up to a simmer and shut it off and let it cool down. We already have color in these. Let's see what we have going. So just from the sun from a couple days. And usually when you sun dye, you do it like at least a week, I think, but we have pretty much nothing in this one right now. So we'll see if cooking it changes it. And this one we have very, very little. So we'll see if we get anything by cooking it. And then we will do this one next, which also has pretty much nothing. So we'll see if we can get anything out of these. That will be our next ones. So I thought I should let you know which two these mushrooms are. This has got these little tiny ones that were long, and I think they have to look back at what I had done, but they got long stems on them. This was that one that I only had the single cap for. So last night it looked like it might rain, and I moved all my stuff to keep it dry. We didn't have any rain, but it just felt that way. So now I'm all spread back out and ready to see how these two did. So they have actually been soaking overnight. So this one is the one that just had the single cap of mushroom, and I don't think we're going to get much, but let's see. Yeah, there's maybe a tiny bit of color in that, but not much of anything. Okay, and then this one is the one that had those little mushrooms, but look at the coloring that's on that, like, stuck to the bottom of the pan. But I don't know how much of that is actually going to wind up in the wool. And the mushrooms don't want to come off of it. Ugh. Ew. They're slimy now. There's still more there. I don't want to smush it in. Okay. I'll throw that in. Very little. Let's compare it. Okay. Next to our white, there's a tiny bit of color in that one, slightly yellowed. This has nothing. That is nothing. But that did get a little bit, which is kind of similar to that one. A little less than that one. Okay, last two, I'm gonna do those. Okay, so this was the one that was the random mix of little tiny mushrooms, so we'll see how it does. And this one is the avocado pits. I cut them apart, I've added more water, and I will cook that and see what happens if we get anything out of it. Okay, so there's a little bit of color in there, not a whole lot. I dropped a little piece of fleece in there, and we'll let it sit and we'll see what happens. Okay, I'm going to pull this one out and see if we got anything from it. And this again was the little tiny random mushrooms. I don't think there's going to be anything, but we'll see. And that would be a big no. We did not get any color in that batch. Okay, we are going to start a batch of the Osage Orange. Biggest reason is this one has been leaking, and I didn't want that. So we're going to throw this one all in here. And I splattered that everywhere. Let's see. Clean out my container, get all the goodness out of it. We don't want to lose any of that color. Look at that. Nice, yummy wood mulch. So now I've never used the Osage Orange before. I don't really know how much water versus the wood and everything we need. But we do have two more containers. So if I get this too thin, I can always add in some of the other. So I'm going to heat this up and see what we get from it. Now remember, this coming from the wood of a tree has tannins in it, and we do not need to use mordanted fiber. So the wool that we have that I did not mordant is what we'll be able to use in this, which means saves you on having to mordant. Now this is interesting. I shut this off. It's been sitting here now for close to an hour, just cooling down, and we have a lot more color coming out of it. And I knew you were supposed to get decent color out of this. We still have like no color in our fiber, which stinks. And I know that this is actually a viable dye. I'm gonna have to look in my book and see what else I might need to do to improve on that one. And this is been simmering away for about an hour now. I think I'm going to shut it off and let it cool down, because I want to drain all this out before I put the fleece in, because that would just be a lot of stuff to have mixed in with the fleece. So I think I'm going to let it cool and drain it, and we'll see how it goes. Again, I still have 2 more batches of this, so if this doesn't go quite right, we have more to work with. So I'm just going to let that cool down, and we'll come back to it in a while. Okay, so this is super exciting. We finally get to see how the Osage Orange came out. I'm so excited about this one. So it has sat overnight because I let it cool down in the pot. And oh my gosh, look at the color. Look at that. There is a grittiness to this that I think is like the sawdust that still went through after I strained everything out. There's how much color we still have. Can you see that? I hope. See how much color is still in there? So I am actually going to take the exhaust pot, and I took the wood chips that we still had, and I did them yesterday and cooked them again. So I'm going to take that and pour into here. Yeah, you can see all that little like bits of pulp stuff. That is giving us a very full pan. If I can get any more liquid out of that. Oop. Okay, so there is a lot of liquid right there. A lot. But look at the color that's still in that. I think we would still get a decent dye from it. Okay, let's finish rinsing this. Let's see what we've got. Look at that. Is that not beautiful? Oh, just from natural stuff. I mean, wood from a tree. Who would ever think that you could do that with wood from a tree? Okay, I'm going to put it out on my table so that it can dry. Okay, so I'll show you the results in the sun in a minute, but I took that liquid, divided it into the 2 pots. Saturday morning traffic. Of course, as soon as I hit record, it gets loud. So I divided that into 2 pots, and I am going to see how much more I can get from this before even going into the next container of the wood chips that I have. So I'm going to put fleece in these and bring them to a simmer, and you can see how much we already have just from doing that. So we'll see how much more we can get out of this first set. So basically this is the exhaust pot plus, in a sense, an exhaust of the wood chips, and we've got 2 pots worth. So I'm going to get these going, and I will show you the results of the other. How gorgeous is this? Oh my gosh. Look at that in the sun. It is so pretty. Look at all that fleece. That's just in that first pot we did. So pretty. Just gorgeous. So I'm going to see how much we get from this. Who knows? Maybe if I'm like extremely lucky, I'll have a sweater's quantity and I could do a sweater. Oh, it would be so pretty, wouldn't it? Okay, so I'm gonna get going with the other pots and we'll see what happens. Okay, I just took this off the heat. I've let it simmer for a little while, and look at that color. A little bit of that should come out when I rinse it, but I think it should stay pretty much like that. That is so pretty. So I have actually put a little bit more water in with the wood chips, and I have that going again just to see how much more color I can get from that before actually using the other stuff. Okay, so I have the avocado back on with some more fleece in it. I broke the avocado up more, and it is now going to simmer for probably about an hour. And I removed my second pot of Osage Orange fleece off, and I just fluffed and picked through what I dyed earlier that has already started to dry mostly. So I fluffed it up, picked some more stuff out of it so that it can finish drying. Okay, let's see. This is my last attempt with the avocado, and we'll see how it came out. So I had simmered it again for a while. I actually had added, I think I'd added a little more water, and I did add a little more fleece. So we'll see what we get. And the only reason I kept working on this one was I know it's a proven, tested dye source. And I did break the pits up a little bit more too this time. Okay. So one little piece of fleece in here should be darker than the rest because it's been in longer. Okay, here's what we got. We got a little bit of a kind of a dusty pink color. Let's set it out and see how it looks laid out. Okay, there is our end color after rinsing. So we still got some fun color in it. I mean, it's not as vibrant as others, but if you were wanting that kind of dusty pink look, that would be a great color source. And actually this is very similar. I'll have to show you later. It's very, I feel like it's very similar to what I got from Ice Plant. So this is kind of fun. I put a tiny bit of Osage Orange in this that I had left over while it was soaking up water, very, very small. And look at the colors that I've gotten in that. I mean, very, very little. So I'm starting another pot. I don't have time to actually turn it on right now, but I'm going to go ahead and put the fleece in so it can just start sitting, and then later on when I get home I will actually turn it on. But I thought you might find it interesting to see what just that small amount in here has done. So you definitely can get a lot of color out of the Osage Orange, and probably a lot of variety. Okay, so here are my final results. So from, let's see, I'll zoom you in so that we can look at one at a time. I hope this is showing up well enough because I have a light right down on this, but it sure does not look very bright in my camera. Okay, come on. Okay. My little pictures I printed do not look the greatest, but here we go. So this was from the first round, and some of these got mixed up, so I actually had to go back through all the footage to make sure that I had them in the right spot. I had this all set in one spot so that it didn't get disturbed, and something just shifted, and yeah. So this was from the first round, and this was the large, here's my big grouping of stuff. So this is these ones here that are actually all of these. They were a very large mushroom that I had a bunch of. So this was the beige color I got from that. And then in that same round, I was doing these ones, which are a purple lavender mushroom, and I got this light gray. And then in our next round, I did the ones out of the fishbowl, which are these funky little mushrooms. And we got this very light gray color. And then I did the marigolds, and the marigolds gave me a very pretty, come on, focus, very pretty yellow color, golden. So then we did an exhaust pot over one of the grays. I honestly don't remember which one it was of those two. And we did the marigold exhaust pot over the gray and got this pretty lighter golden beige color. And we did, oh, there it is, these mushrooms, these frilly little things, and got this extremely pale gray again. And then we did round 4, and we did the poinsettia that I really had good hopes for because the water was so nice and dark, but we just got another pale gray color. And then we had those tiny blue flowers, which I had hopes I would have figured out what they were by now, but I still don't know. And to be perfectly honest, I wanted to go to the flower shop and ask them, and I just haven't made it down there. So that was that itty bitty little blue flower, and we got that kind of neon-y yellow, which was so fun. And then we did the 2 lichen pots. So we had the fluffy lichen, that's I think it's called an old man's beard. And then we had this antler lichen. I don't know if that's actually the name, but I think it might be. And we got these 2 colors. So this is the old man's beard, and which I didn't realize I'd grabbed such a small amount. So when I was trying to tie it up, it didn't tie up very well. And then this one was from the antler one that had a little bit of a pink color to it. It just doesn't show up great in this light, and I don't know why. Let's see if I can make this light. Oh, hey, that might help. I've got it up as bright as it goes, though. I don't know if that really helped or not. Okay, so then we had that single cap mushroom. So that was the top and bottom of that mushroom. It was the only one I had like that. And we had gotten this pretty much nothing again color. Come on, focus. There we go. And we did the little long stem mushrooms I had that were a little yellow mushrooms, and again got not much of anything. And then we had some random mushrooms that I didn't have that many of, so I just put them all together, and we got that one that again was not much. So then moving over to the avocado. In the avocado we got some nice pink color, which actually is similar to that antler lichen but a little bit darker. And then the Osage Orange, the big hit of the day, we got that beautiful color from. And even the exhaust pot, we got great color. So I actually ended up doing about 3 pounds of the Osage Orange, pot after pot after pot, with all that I had out there. So I would do a pot and an exhaust pot and a pot and an exhaust pot, and back and forth. And then I had some little scraps of it because I was fluffing it up afterwards, and it was sitting in the fish bowl because I was dropping my scraps into the fish bowl. And these scraps from this one batch had sat out there for probably about 2 weeks. And so we always talk about things being color fast. Are they going to fade in the sun and things like that? Well, this is from that fluff that sat out for 2 weeks. And not only did it not fade, but it got darker. So compared to these, you can see how much darker it actually got, which I found really interesting. So I thought I would share that with you guys. So it does not fade in the sun. It actually will get darker. And this was sitting in the sun, baking in the sun in over 100-degree weather, you know, day after day, which your garments are not going to be taking that kind of beating. So this was pretty intense beating, but it still withstood that. So that is what we ended up with. So we had some that we had saved, that we had larger amounts that I had done. So like the marigold, I had a nice little clump of that I say we, because you guys were along with me, that I had kept. This one I think was the avocado. I did not actually label these, but I think this one was the avocado. And this one I think was from that first mushroom that we had gotten the darker color from. This one I think might have been from the antler lichen. And this one I think was the exhaust pot from the marigold. And then this was that little blue flower. And then the other stuff that was just too light, it didn't really take up any dye, just got mixed in with what I had left of the Hampshire, which was a lot. I actually dug into my stores because as I mentioned, I had done another Hampshire last year, and so I still had some of that one left. So I got into all my Hampshire, got it all together, and I dyed it with the Osage Orange. So there's about, I'm guessing, I've attempted to weigh it, but unless I go step on the scale myself, it's too big to sit on my little scale. So I think there's about 3 pounds here. And I did this all with the Osage Orange. And as you flip through it, you can see a little bit of difference in some of these colors, that they were from a different pot. But since I am doing so much of it, what I plan to do is just, I'm going to mix it up a little bit, and then when it gets carded, it's all going to get carded together. So those variances are going to get all put together. So when I'm done, I should have one consistent yarn. Where if I had been dyeing the yarn afterwards, I would be stuck with what it is. So if this pot was darker and this pot was lighter, I would definitely have this variance of color when I go to do the sweater that I plan to do. But because I dyed it, the fleece first, then I have a choice about how that color is going to come out. So I want a nice consistent color, so I can mix all this together, and I should get a very consistent yarn through the whole sweater. Just looking, and there was a pretty lock. It had really nice crimp. Of course, when I pulled on it, you might not see it as well, but oh, come on, focus. A really pretty crimp. But anyway, so that's one of the differences between doing this as a raw fleece or doing it as a finished yarn. Here you can see with these two, you can see that difference in color, that this one's much lighter and this one's darker. And if I had done that as the yarn, then when that got knit up, you would definitely see this difference in color. But because I'm going to work them together, then when this all gets carded, all these colors are going to get mixed up like you're mixing paint, and the yarn is then going to be one consistent color. So I hope that makes sense. So I hope you have enjoyed this. Make sure and click like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit notify so that you will know when the next video in the series comes out. So this is the third video. The first one was skirting, the second one was scouring, this one's dyeing, the next one will be carding, all of this floof, and then one after that will be spinning, and the one after that will be, hopefully, knitting. And at the current moment, this is the sweater that I am planning to make with all of this. And I think, fingers crossed, I think I should have enough yarn from this to make that sweater. So make sure and stay tuned so you can see if I actually complete this or if I have any problems along the way. Hoping to not. I'm just like, I keep pulling out these. They're just so pretty. The color just came out amazing, and I like autumnal colors. I like the earthy colors. You guys know I love the greens and stuff like that, and I lean towards those greens and then the browns and things like that. I'm not normally one that wants all of it to be like a yellow or an orange. I like those colors mixed in, but it was just so pretty. I had to do it. So, yeah, stay tuned. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this little foray into experimenting with what you have. Just because it's not in a book, or you Google it and it doesn't say, oh, you can use this as a dye, it just means that there's a chance that nobody has tried it yet. If you will find sometimes where someone will say, oh, I've tried this and it doesn't work. But if you can't find anything on it, then try it. You might find one that works, because that's how all this was found out originally, is somebody tried it. And I've found some great colors in my yard because I've tried it and I didn't know. And like the ice plant is one that I have not seen anywhere else, but I saw one YouTuber that had talked about it on one of her videos, and I was like, ooh, I've got ice plant everywhere. I would have never thought of that, and tried it. So you just never know what might be growing in your own backyard. So have a great week, and make sure and stay tuned for the next video, and we'll see you all again soon. Bye.